Bay County Sheriff's investigators have arrested a Fountain woman as their suspect in a gruesome murder. They say she killed her boyfriend, 38-year-old Joseph Eiler, who was reported missing a few days ago.
She shot him twice while he was asleep. Then she dismembered his body. Then she buried what was left of him in 5 different spots across the yard. Then she spray-painted "I love you" on top of one of the graves. And when deputies finally came to the door, her own family was already on the phone calling 911 on her. Let me tell you something. In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear. Joseph Eiler was 38 years old, living in Fountain, Florida, a small, quiet community in Bay County. And by all accounts, Joseph was in a good place in his life. He had just landed a job at a local car dealership, and people close to him said he genuinely loved it. He was showing up. He was present. He was moving forward. He shared a home with his girlfriend, Ashley Averett, on Creek Haven Road, and his father, Jeffrey Eiler, lived right there on the same property, close enough to be in each other's lives every single day. Now, on the surface, this looked like a regular setup. A man, his woman, his daddy nearby, and a fresh start on the horizon. Nothing about that picture screams danger. Nothing about that picture tells you what was coming. But here is where things get heavy. Early one Thursday morning, Joseph and Ashley got into an argument. That part, at least, Ashley told investigators herself. She said they fought in the early morning hours, and that was, according to her, the last time she saw him. Now, Joseph's father, Jeffrey, lived right next door. So when Joseph stopped showing up to that new job he loved, the one he had just started, Jeffrey noticed. When Joseph's car sat in the driveway untouched, Jeffrey noticed. When calls to Joseph's cell phone went unanswered, Jeffrey noticed. And then Jeffrey started noticing something else entirely. Ashley was cleaning. Not regular cleaning, the kind of cleaning you do when company is coming over. This was aggressive cleaning. She was replacing sheets and bedding inside the trailer. She was burning things in a barrel out in the backyard. She was digging around in the yard, and there were patches of freshly disturbed soil that had not been there before. She was controlling who came in and out of that property, watching the gates, watching the doors, watching everything. And then, she walked up to Joseph's own father and asked him how to get rid of Ashes. His father, the man whose son was missing. She asked him how to dispose of Ashes. And Jeffrey also noticed a firearm sitting in an unusual location on the property, placed somewhere it had no business being. By the time deputies first came out to the property, Ashley had a story ready. "Joseph and I argued," she said. "He left. I haven't seen him since. And investigators, like they're supposed to, took the report and started working the case as a missing persons investigation. They tried to make contact with Joseph. They couldn't reach him. His vehicle hadn't moved. He hadn't shown up to work. Anyways, deputies came back. And then they came back again. By the 3rd time they sat down with Ashley Averett, something had shifted. Here is what investigators say actually happened. Joseph Eiler was asleep when Ashley shot him, twice, with a .380 handgun. He never had a chance to defend himself. He never saw it coming. The man was in his own home, in his own bed, and that was where his life ended. But Ashley did not stop there. After she shot him, she took knives and other sharp objects, and she dismembered Joseph's body, piece by piece. And then she took what remained of the man she called her boyfriend and buried him across 5 different locations in the yard surrounding that trailer. 5. Not 1. not 2. 5 burial sites on the same property where his father lived, where children lived, where people went in and out every single day. And, in between all of that, she was buying supplies to clean the crime scene. She was burning evidence in that barrel. She was scrubbing that trailer down. She was replacing the bedding. She was managing that yard. She was managing people, deciding who got to come onto that property and who didn't. And then, at some point, she walked outside and she spray-painted the words, "Joe, I love you," on a concrete box sitting in that yard. That concrete box was sitting right next to one of the spots where she had buried his remains. I need you to sit with that for a second. She wrote, "I love you," on top of where she buried pieces of him. Now, let's go back to Joseph Eiler for a second, because this man deserves his flowers. He was living on the same property as his son and his son's girlfriend. He was right there. And from the moment Joseph stopped being visible, Jeffrey was watching. Not because he was paranoid, not because he was looking for trouble, but because a father knows. And what he was seeing did not add up. The cleaning was too much. The burning was too deliberate. The soil in the yard had been turned over in spots that had no business being freshly dug. Ashley was positioning herself as the gatekeeper of that entire property, deciding who could come close and who couldn't. And then she asked him about the ashes. His son's girlfriend looked him in his face and asked him how to get rid of what was in that burn barrel. Joseph Eiler did not sit on that. He reported his son missing the same day Joseph disappeared, March 12th. And when deputies came out and started asking questions, Jeffrey made sure they understood what he had been seeing. Investigators said it themselves. When they sat down with Jeffrey and started going through the details, they realized the behavior he was describing was not normal. Cleaning the trailer in a way that was not usual, replacing sheets and bedding, burning things out, back, doing things in the yard that raised questions. These were not the actions of a grieving girlfriend. These were the actions of someone trying to erase something. The red flags were stacking up fast. And then there was the car. Joseph's vehicle had not moved. A man does not walk away from a brand new job he loves, leave his car behind, and just vanish into thin air. The investigators knew that. His phone was going unanswered. Nobody had eyes on him anywhere. And the woman who should have been the most worried, the one who lived with him, she was not acting worried. She was acting busy. Deputies came back to that property a second time, then a third time. Each visit, they sat down with Ashley and gave her the opportunity to tell the truth. She held her story together for 2 of those interviews. But by the third time, March 16th, something cracked. Because by then, it was not just investigators pressing her, it was her own family. Here is where this story takes a turn that a lot of people do not see coming. When deputies arrived at the property on March 16th, Ashley's family members were already there, and they were not there to back her up. They were actively calling 911 on her. Her own people picked up the phone and called law enforcement on Ashley Averett. And the reason they were there at all was not to interfere. It was because there were small children in that home, and they were trying to make sure those kids were protected. Think about what that means. Her own family had heard enough, seen enough, and they were not willing to let it go any further. Investigators say that Ashley's family members told deputies that she had confessed to them, that she had admitted to shooting Joseph multiple times. And when deputies sat down with Ashley for that third interview, she confirmed it herself. She told investigators that she and Joseph had argued in the early morning hours. She told them what happened after that. And just like that, a missing persons case became a homicide investigation. Deputies moved quickly. They arrested Ashley Averett on an open count of murder and immediately began a full search of the property on Creek Haven Road. What they found when they started working that yard, nobody was prepared for the scale of it. Investigators began focusing on the areas of freshly disturbed soil that Jeffrey had already pointed out to them. And one by one, those spots confirmed what they already feared: human remains, in multiple locations across the property, not hidden far away, not buried somewhere remote, right there in the yard where people lived, the yard where children played, the yard where Jeffrey Eiler had been walking around for days without knowing his son was beneath his feet. 5 burial sites. Confirmed. Investigators believe Ashley used knives and other sharp objects to carry out the dismemberment. The .380 handgun used in the shooting was also accounted for at the scene. And then there was the spray paint, the concrete box, the words, "Joe, I love you," sitting right there next to one of the sites where his remains were found. Whether that was guilt or grief or something else entirely, investigators did not speculate on it publicly, but it is the detail that stays with you long after everything else fades. A detective speaking to the press did not mince words when asked about Ashley's account of why things happened. She gave a reason as to why things happened, but you're getting one side of the story. The other person is not here to tell their story, so I don't put a lot of credence into what somebody who just took somebody's life has to say. Joseph Eiler was not there to tell his side. He never got that chance.
Authorities say it was Eiler's father who noticed the red flags that led to the suspect's confession.
What started as a missing person case turned into a homicide investigation with a suspect behind bars. 38-year-old Joseph Eiler was last seen alive early Thursday morning after he had a fight with his girlfriend, Ashley Averett. Saturday, Eiler's dad and Averett reported him missing. Bay County Sheriff's investigators say there were red flags from the beginning. For instance, Eiler had just started working at a local car dealership.
He seemed to really enjoy his job, so he had not shown up there. We couldn't get any calls going through to his cell phone to try to make contact with him. His vehicle was left at the house. So some of those things were kind of peculiar, but you know, it happens sometimes and people show back up.
Then Eiler's father, who lives on the same property as the couple, noticed something far more suspicious.
The victim's father had seen her doing a lot of cleaning that was kind of unusual, was doing stuff out in the yard that was unusual, was burning some stuff in some barrels, kind of controlling who came in and out of the house, where they went to.
The father claims Averett asked him how to dispose of ashes. He said he also saw freshly disturbed soil in the yard and a firearm placed in an unusual location. When deputies arrived at the scene, Averett's family confronted them. They were actively calling 911 after she allegedly admitted to shooting Eiler while he was asleep and trying to dispose of his body.
They were in no way trying to assist her or trying to help her get away with anything. They were there because there was a couple small kids in the residence. They were there to try to protect them.
Deputies interviewed Averett for the 3rd time since Eiler's reported disappearance. This time, they say she confessed to shooting Eiler twice with a .380 handgun, dismembering his body, burying the remains in the yard, and buying supplies to clean the scene. Deputies arrested her on an open count of murder and began searching the property. Here on Creek Haven Road, investigators have already found human remains in multiple areas in this yard. Deputies are focusing on spots of disturbed soil as they continue working to piece together exactly what happened to Joseph Eiler. Investigators believe Averett used knives and other sharp objects to dismember Eiler's body. There were 5 burial sites in the yard. Adding to the morbid details, authorities believe Averett spray-painted "Joe, I love you" on a connect box next to one of the sites where they found buried remains. Deputies say it's a disturbing case.
Not an easy scene to work, but very proud of them and the hard work that they put in and all the answers they've been able to get for that family and try to give them closure the best we can.